3 days until Election Day here in Iowa. Not much time left for the candidates to sway any undecided voters. They certainly tried hard last night. Ted Cruz was the front runner on the stage, which usually makes you the top target. He struck back at moderator Chris Wallace after he felt he was being ganged up on.
Chris, I would note that the last 4 questions have been Rand, please attack Ted. Marco, please attack Ted. Chris, please attack Ted. Jeb, please attack Ted. Let me just say this.
It is a debate, sir.
Well, no, a debate actually is a policy issue, but I will say this, gosh, if you guys ask one more mean question, I may have to leave the stage.
Don't worry, I'm not leaving the stage no matter what you ask me.
Good.
And another interesting moment, different from what we've seen in previous debates, was when the candidates were questioned about their electability and likability. In 2013, Time magazine named Marco Rubio the savior of the GOP. But with the Florida Center polling in 3rd place, he was asked about that given title and why Americans should vote for him despite his current standings.
Let me be clear about one thing. There's only one Savior, and it's not me. It's Jesus Christ who came down to earth and died for our sins. As far as the polls are concerned, Iowa, on Monday night, you're going to go to a caucus site, and you'll be the first Americans that vote in this election. You will be the first Americans that get to answer the fundamental question, what comes next for this country after 7 disastrous years of Barack Obama?
All right, so we are live in Des Moines. It's good to finally be here. We're excited. Some people flew last night. One of us was actually in the debate hall last night. How was it?
It was electric. You could feel the energy. It was dry. I have to say that it was pretty dry. And I'll tell you why. You know, principle and policy is less exciting than personal attacks, and it forces the viewer to pay attention more than they have to. Here's my stupid metaphor of the day. Remember when David Lee Roth left Van Halen?
Yes, it's tragic.
And Sammy Hagar replaced him. Yep. The band was still great, but you were missing the showmanship and the unpredictability of David Lee Roth. And that's kind of how the debate was. You had still the great songs, you had the substance, but you were missing kind of the shirtless guy dancing on the, on the ceiling.
And coincidentally, when he left, he never was that good after he left Van Halen.
That is true. Never. You know what? That's a great lesson. You never know you have something good until you lose it.
Oh, my God. Is there Kleenex? Do we have anything?
Yeah.
I'm welling up a little bit.
Kimberly, you flew in last night.
Yes.
You've been getting a feel for things here in Iowa. What did you make of the debate after you got back?
I think it's obviously it was very informative. Gave everybody a chance to be able to shine and get some substance out. I thought Marco Rubio had a great debate. I thought Jeb Bush did well. Chris Christie, Kasich. So I liked listening to what they had to say. I think there was a couple of missed opportunities with Ted Cruz that we showed that didn't come off quite right with saying that he would leave the stage. It's like, okay, enough of that. Let's sit here and let's talk about the issues and listen.
What about from your point of view, Juan? What do you think of the debate?
Well, I think there are 2 big winners. I think Rand Paul did a fabulous job. And, again, that was the best debate from Rand Paul, who looked to me to be commanding, in control, and even conversational. Previously he was kind of interrupting and a little bit of an irritant. I didn't think so last night. Last night I thought he was able to moderate that instinct and come across as if he had something to say on critical issues. He was informed.
He had strong moments, yeah.
Yeah, and the number 2 big winner, Jeb Bush. Best performance, bar none. And, it makes you think, is it because Van Halen wasn't on the stage, right? Is it because,
David
Lee Roth. Is it because, Trump gets in his head and he's always responding to Trump?
To your point, it's like a bullied kid in a homeroom who realizes the bully's homesick with the flu. And he's like, oh, now I can be myself again. He's not going to come up and hit me.
Yeah.
And he had a chance to shine.
And I thought Rubio got into the back and forth over the immigration policy. And that was intriguing because, on the one hand, you had Bush saying, yeah, you were the leader of the Gang of 8, and we think this is a good idea. And then you have Cruz come at him and say, but wait, you were the leader of the Gang of 8, and it wasn't a good idea. But the real trap for him was, what you say that you're not for a pathway to citizenship. He says, yeah, but I'm for amnesty.
We're going to talk a little bit.
Teasing that. That's the next block.
We have more to come on that. Eric, let me get your reaction to this. Jeb Bush is winning a lot of praise. Juan just mentioned it, and other pundits say this might have been his best debate performance yet. And here was the moment when he defended being part of the, quote, Republican establishment.
I'm an establishment because my dad, the greatest man alive, was president of the United States, and my brother, who I adore as well, is a fantastic brother, was president. Fine, I'll take it. And I guess I'm part of the establishment because Barbara Bush is my mom. I'll take that too. But this election is not about our pedigree. This is an election about people that are really hurting. And we need a leader that will fix things and have a proven record to do it.
So that's always something that Jeb Bush has had to deal with because his dad and his brother were both president. The family has been in the public eye for so long, and Bush fatigue had sort of set in. But do you agree he had a better debate last night?
I think everyone had a better debate last night. Across the board, John Kasich had a good debate. I agree with you. Rand Paul had his best debate. He went back to the libertarian principles that he's been so vehement about for so long. He varied away from it for a while, didn't work, and he got back to libertarianism.
And you know what I heard from Greg?
And it was good.
You know what I heard from Greg? That Rand Paul had a lot of those college students in the arena.
Well,
so,
he did. He gave away
his
seats instead of giving it to people that who may vote. He went with college kids, and they're loud and supportive.
Well, the question is, do those college kids show up for caucuses? I don't know.
I think they probably will. What was it like? Because watching on TV, anytime Rand Paul said anything, they screamed and yelled, and it was kind of annoying.
Well, this is a tradition among the Paul family. This is what happened with Ron Paul.
Oh, yeah.
He always used to have followers at CPAC that would be with signs. But when they yelled, stand with Rand, I would shout, sit with Mitt, just to confuse them. You know, when Jeb said about his dad being the greatest man alive, that was a direct jab at Bill O'Reilly. And I thought it was unnecessary.
Everybody was attacking Fox News last night.
Out here on Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, because he had the center podium, had the opportunity to own the #1 spot, see what it feels like to be the front runner. He's been trailing, and he wants it so badly. And I think Kimberly's right. He just didn't. He didn't bring it home.
You know,
he was rounding third, and then he just kind of stumbled and got tagged out.
You know what you got to do? You got to tell him. You got to tell him about.
Finish.
Wait.
You got to finish.
Tell him about the Des Moines Register front page.
Front page of Des Moines Register. Ted Cruz had a rough night for Ted Cruz, and I'll give you one other story. All day today, we've been following the candidates throughout Iowa. They're going to different caucuses, different counties, and Ted Cruz didn't want to talk about his debate last night, and that's a good indicator.
Guess why?
And you know who did? Marco Rubio wanted to talk about it. He had a great debate.
But it was interesting because I talked to a friend, Kimberly, who said that he typically doesn't think Ted Cruz does well in these debates, but he thought that Ted Cruz had his best debate last night.
Wow.
So I guess it's all down to interpretation.
And I guess it's going to come down to how, Iowa and the caucus goers are going to interpret it and see. But I definitely feel that Ted Cruz does better with Donald Trump, on the stage with him, to be able to spar back and forth and to be able to engage. Ted Cruz is a master debater. There is no doubt about it. But everybody up there, I think, is getting better at doing this and coming across with their ideas.
But I want to ask...
Should happen with practice.
I want to ask about a candidate we haven't mentioned yet. And, Greg, let me go to you because Dr. Ben Carson has a lot of support in Iowa. I thought he sort of faded into the background last night, as he has in other debates. But what was it like from the crowd last night?
Everybody likes him because he seems to be enjoying himself. But there's also this sneaking suspicion that he knows he's not going to be president. So he's just there enjoying himself and, see what happens next. Can I don't mean to pile on Cruz, but he seems to be in a state of perpetual annoyance. Like he's always smelling sour milk.
Do you know somebody like that?
Yes. That's why I put my support for Ted Cruz, a man after my own heart.
All right, I want to take a look at this soundbite because throughout his campaign and tenure in the Senate, many have criticized Ted Cruz for not being likable. And last night, he was pressed about his electability without the support of many in Washington.
I am not the candidate of career politicians in Washington. And I'll tell you, the endorsements that I am proud of are the over 200,000 volunteers across this country who have signed up to volunteer for our campaign. Washington is broken, and the people I have been accountable to every single day in the Senate are the 27 million Texans who I represent, and I made a promise to them that I make to you today, which is if I am elected, every single day I will do two things: tell the truth and do what I said I would do.
Juan, he's been fairly successul at saying and kind of proving his mettle as an outsider, even though he is an insider in Washington.
He is. He's a United States senator. In fact, what caught my ear in that little soundbite, Dana, was that he says Washington's broken as a way of condemning the career politician. So you would think that the next statement would be, and I'm here to fix it. Here are my solutions. Instead, he plays the strong anti-establishment card as if He's not Harvard law. He's not a Supreme Court law clerk. He didn't involve himself with the Bush resolution out of Florida as a top lawyer for the campaign. He acts as if none of this ever happened and that he is, flown in from Mars. Not true.
Well,
and yet,
can you at least give him the benefit of the doubt that, yes, those things did happen, but they happened a long time ago. And since he did make it to the Senate, he's made himself an outsider as a senator. You'll admit that even the Republican senators don't love Ted Cruz that much. Which
no. But that doesn't make you an outsider. What makes you an outsider is if you have ideas that are innovative, different, and challenge the status quo. And to the contrary, what he has done is alienate.
You don't think he has that?
I haven't.
He does do that.
Well, if you tell me what is the,
that's why he calls himself the outsider.
If you have this, if you know of this, I'll listen to you for a second. But if you know this, what is the great idea Ted Cruz has brought to Washington to shake up the establishment?
Yes, he pushes away from
Everybody says that.
Filibusters, shuts down.
He's not an outsider or an insider. He's an unsider.
And he also He also has come up with some things you may not like about immigration that frankly aren't very popular with a lot of people who are establishment people in D.C.
Okay, I just don't see that there's any great ideas.
They want me to move on because it was the story that captured all the headlines before the debate. Donald Trump not attending to address the elephant not in the room last night. His opponents were asked about his decision.
I'm a maniac, and everyone on this stage is stupid, fat, and ugly. And Ben, you're a terrible surgeon. Now that we've gotten the Donald Trump portion out of the way.
Chris, let's begin by being clear what this campaign is about. It's not about Donald Trump.
I kind of miss Donald Trump. He was a little teddy bear to me. We always had such a loving relationship during these debates and in between and the tweets. I kind of miss him. I wish he was here.
So, Greg, they were trying to make fun of David Lee Roth.
Yes.
So to speak.
You win and you lose with this because everybody says that they want substance, but they also want excitement. And it's kind of like, what is the best part of a cake? The frosting. And Donald Trump is promising a whole cake made of frosting. And we're going, is that possible? Could we have a whole cake made of frosting? And Trump's saying, yeah, I'm that cake. I'm 100% frosting. Lick me.
Ooh. Oh, my God.
Okay. I don't know where to go with that, Kimberly, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, exactly.
Congratulations.
Yes, why not? When it comes to food, edibles, and whatnot, I'm your girl. Okay, so yeah, I think it was definitely you missed his presence, his feel, his energy in the room. I thought the way Jeb Bush handled it was kind of cute and charming. So he's a teddy bear to me. I miss him here tonight and the tweets back and forth. That was a nice, humorous way to do it. There was like kind of classy, stay above the fray. And a lot of the discussion was this going to hurt Donald Trump by not being on the stage? Well, so far today, it doesn't seem like it did.
Yeah, I think it, take it more like the cream pie in the face. And I think he threw a pie in the face at Fox News, and he threw a pie in the face, though, at Iowa voters. He didn't show up. So he says he has this event for the veterans, etc. Come on, who's buying that? What really astounded me was that Santorum and Huckabee show up. I'm like, wait a second, what is going on? Have those guys conceded? I guess so. But let me just say, day after, it looks good for Trump. I don't know that it looks good for the Republican Party that he got away with that.
All right, last word to Eric.
Last word. So a lot of people are going to push back on all of you have the Trump group that's going to push back on Fox, and the other groups are going to push back on Trump. I'll tell you what you did see last night. I was really, really proud to see that. Well, you saw a fair and tough moderators. All three of them asked very tough questions, and it wasn't just one or two. Everyone got a fair shot on some tough questions. So
and the earlier debate as well.
Hats off to Megan, Brett, and Chris. They did a great job with that.
And Hammer and Martha.
And Hammer and Martha as well.
And me.
Yeah. And Greg.
Yeah.
And definitely you.
Yes.
Definitely you. All right.